Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Royce, Trent Tucker on a basketball-like edition of the show, and Sid Hartman just putting his trusty column into his... Can we see what you wrote for tomorrow?
No, you can't see what I wrote.
A copy of it. So the Gophers lose to Florida, and a lot of people think this means Tubby Smith's last game as the Gopher coach.
It won't be Tubby Smith's last day as a Gopher coach because they can't get anybody. They'll have one heck of a time, and if they can get that guy from Virginia Commonwealth...
I got news for you. I've watched them play St. Louis and Michigan. That's no great shake.
And Michigan State beat them by 100.
I mean, honestly, you watch Virginia Commonwealth and you go, they'd beat Nebraska, Penn State, Northwestern. That'd be about it.
Plus, he turned down 2.5, what, 2.4 or 2.5 at Illinois?
Yeah.
So your thought is Tubby's back?
Tubby's back. I'd be very shocked. I was with the president the other day.
Based on that conversation, what?
Based on his conversation, I think he'll be back. But he wasn't going to go over Norwood Teague's head and make a statement on the status of the coach.
Patrick?
Well, I got to confess, I was at the Gopher women's hockey game today, so I didn't see more than 5 minutes of the Gopher game, but I don't know. I'd say it's 50-50. I don't have any idea. They $2.5 million buyout, but
it's 2.5 next year too. So.
They lost. You thought you had a good team, and you lost 12 of your last 18. That's a little shocking.
The one thing that helped him, Trent, two things helped him this weekend. He beat UCLA, and the Big Ten is as good as advertised, I guess, because they really had their way, except for Wisconsin, with everybody almost.
I'm like Patrick. I really don't know, but I think it's going to come down to Norwood Teague deciding, who's the right guy to lead his program into the future. If it's with this current staff who's in place now, do they have the guys on the bench that can lead this program? If he believes so, they would stay. If it's not, then he may look to go in a new direction.
So, Trent, as a basketball person, evaluate what happened this year. Were they the victim of the conference, or did this team really underachieve?
I thought they underachieved because I felt like they had the talent, to be one of the top 3 teams in the Big Ten, but they had so much inconsistent play. And when you have inconsistent play, your season can go either way.
I'd like to know where the sources are that he's in trouble. I mean, where does Reishi here? Where does Chip Scroggins here? I'm over at that university every day. I've got more in than any of those guys have got.
So he's 100% coming back then, okay? Then we can write that.
I think at this point, if they could get somebody real good, somebody...
So they should leave him hanging for a couple of weeks and see if they can find somebody better, huh?
If they could find somebody, maybe...
Who is that somebody?
Huh?
Who is that somebody? I mean, you're down to a very small list.
Here's the thing. He played in the... How many Big Ten guys are teams are in the NCAA?
7.
Huh?
7.
Okay. He had a top RPI for a long time. He had the top schedule for a long time. I think next year is the test. That's a different story. We'll see if he can take what he got next year and do something. Then something's going to happen. But I would say right now, as of today, unless some big booster comes up with the $2.5 million.
Big Ten Network can come up with that.
Big Ten Network, you're full of crap.
I'm just saying all the money they pay, they're not going to make a buyout.
They break even.
Oh, yeah. Just like their beer sales, they break even on $900,000.
Sid, nobody's mad at him for losing to those other 7 teams, 6 teams that went to the Big Ten. People are mad at him for losing to Northwestern, losing to Nebraska, not showing up against Purdue and getting humiliated. The terrible losses are what people are mad at.
Yeah, okay.
They lost 12 of their last 18.
Okay.
Indiana had some terrible losses, too. Michigan had some terrible losses. Michigan got beat by Penn State.
Yeah, but they didn't have 12 out of 18.
Yeah.
It was the way they finished and they were healthy. Now, Flip Saunders, is he one of these guys that you would consider to be an outstanding candidate?
Flip wouldn't take the job.
Even if he went to him and said, hey, $500,000 of my salary you can take and put towards the practice facility.
We'll see. I'm betting he'll be here.
I'm just saying what they're talking about at the state tournament this week. Trent?
Well, I don't know. I'm like Patrick. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you know, the guy who's in charge, you know, he has a tough decision to make. It's because, you know, when you're in that position, you have to look at the body of work, and then you have to ask yourself, you know, beyond today, you know, who's the right guy to lead my team into the future? Because at some point in time, you're going to have to go out and recruit guys and bring them in, and you have to have those guys look at this program as the place where they want to be.
If he gets fired, he'll have a job 3 weeks after it.
He might have one tomorrow if he wants.
He had 3 jobs last year, Missouri and Southern Carolina, and one other. And I seen the evidence that he had those.
What's the evidence? I mean, what would that be?
Him personally. I saw the evidence.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, though, I think in Minnesota, where he goes from here to one match, they just want to know, is he staying or not?
I think he's staying.
That's the only question that they have right now, more so than. And if he doesn't stay, who would be the person that replaces him?
I do think that when they're sifting through candidates to replace people, that UCLA will probably be able to make their pick before Minnesota does.
Yeah.
You got $133 million in Pauley Pavilion. I got a hunch that UCLA might get their pick of the litter.
And what a campus.
That's your problem. What's your problem like when there was a lot of football coaching vacancies? So they were taking other jobs. Billy Hoke, he didn't go to Minnesota, he went to Michigan.
Brady.
Golden went to Miami, he didn't go to Minnesota. The top coaches, none of them wanted a Minnesota job. Well, they got lucky in getting Jerry Kill, who turned out to be a pretty good candidate.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say to that, but that since, you know, 2-6 in the Big Ten this year, I'm not having any parades, but that's the way it goes.
You made a statement which makes sense. If there are other good jobs available, they got an 85-year-old arena that everybody.
I don't care. This is a great conference and a great place to play basketball with 3 of the best juniors in the country sitting here.
Maxie, if you want to hire a coach of some repute, you got to put the shovel in the ground for the practice facility by about April 15th.
Yeah,
you can't be screwing around on it anymore. You got to do it.
Well, that's why the flipper comes in and gives him part of his salary.
You know, Mike, on some stuff I think you're
take a break.
Smart.
Take a break.
Stuff you don't know what you're talking about.
Which part don't I know?
Keep on talking about.
What a meal we had the other night at J.D. Hoyt's. 25 coaches and me, I think. Paul McDonald and Tim Miles and the whole gang after the state basketball tournament. Barry Wohler and Mark Klingsporn. Great time and a lot of great food and a lot of stories told. A couple of them were true. So, Trent, I'm looking back at when UCLA came here in 1969 in the middle of the dynasty. They had the first season opener was Austin Carr and Notre Dame, December 1st. December 6th, they had UCLA here. Fitch was coaching. Fitch is lamenting that the Notre Dame game, that Notre Dame played this zone and he didn't expect it. So when we play a zone today and they don't expect it, it's 48-43. It was 82-75. The Gophers took 84 shots and Notre Dame took 72. I think the worst thing that's ever happened to basketball is the shot clock. If you're not going to make it 24 seconds, now they pass up shots at 8 seconds to, you know, when there was no shot clock, you just shot. You just shot. He knows about that.
Well, you see coaches now, you know, trying to get that one more possession. They're trying to exhaust the 35-second shot clock. And like Patrick's saying, I agree with him. Sometimes it can hurt your offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal now that we got the three-point play and we got the shot clock and we score 15 points less a game than before either of those came into existence.
You wouldn't have the shot clock maybe today. It wasn't for the Lakers playing fourth wing.
Well, that's in the NBA.
I mean, that and the college adopted it.
Dean Smith, well, no, they did it because of the four corners, basically.
I'm glad it's in because it will give teams, you know, you get behind, you will give them extra possessions to catch up. Like when I was playing college basketball, if we got behind against a team that had 3 good guards, you know, they would hold that basketball for 8, 9, 10, you could never catch up.
You still averaged 74 points a game.
We did,
yes. I mean,
that's, you know, no three-pointer, no shot clock. That's hard to believe, you know.
That's it. They've changed the game. With
all four of us were at the high school championship last night. Sidney, what'd you think of Tyus Jones?
Well, I was impressed by the crowd.
I was too. I didn't know that many people would show up.
18,000 people.
They had about 6 in the afternoon and about 12 last night.
Yeah.
And what happened, Austin had, they told me 3,500 people there.
They travel well.
Yeah.
And when Austin left, all those seats
Filled up.
filled up with other people.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a fun atmosphere.
Well, the good thing is you got Park Center and Apple Valley who aren't used to being there.
Right.
You know, so it's when you get Hopkins, you got to say, okay, we're going again. But this is 2 new teams, and it was
Park Center beat
they
Apple
said the
Valley.
most people since they went to 4 classes. Right.
How good is Tyus Jones, Trent?
I like him a lot. I think he's a very good basketball player. He's going to even be better at the next level. It's because he's going to have better players to play with.
You know, back to the Tubby Smith thing just a little bit. There's 3 players that are juniors there, but Rashad Vaughn, Travis, and Tyus Jones. Does it factor in, you think, at all, if you're Norwood Teague, and saying, what are odds look like of getting these 3 players? Because everybody knows about them.
Well, the one thing you want to make sure when you go out to recruit guys like that is that you're going to have the staff in place for at least 4 or 5 years so those guys can come in and play for it.
Yeah.
And the one thing you don't want to do is to leave your coach hanging. That's the worst place you can put your head coach in.
Here's what happens. Right now, they're recruiting those guys hard. All of a sudden, they find somebody better. They're recruiting 8 or 10 guys for 4 scholarships. Huh?
Who?
Michigan State. They just got
Yeah,
one.
but they're not recruiting anybody better than Tyus Jones.
If they can get those 3, they'll hold them.
Well, I remember a guy named Dahlman who played, and they thought he's the greatest thing since George Mikan.
So you're ripping Tyus Jones. You don't like him that well, then?
I like him.
Okay.
But I want to see what he can do against good competition.
Well, that was a pretty good club he played last night.
And I think the De La Salle guy will be as good a college player as anybody's come out of here
Tommy
for a
Izzo's
long
all
time.
over him, too, now.
Huh?
Tommy Izzo, as you call him, is all over him, too, now.
Yeah.
I mean, he can play a
know.
little quarterback, too. You ever see him play quarterback?
Pardon me?
You ever see him play football?
I see him one time,
Okay, he can play.
but he's not going to play football.
No, I don't think so either. Take a break, come back. Sports Show. Stay with us. There it is, Audi Minneapolis, 9393 Wayzata Boulevard. Stop on by. Perfect time to look at the A4s, the A8s, and yes, the Q7 for every time.
Let's plug the Gopher women's hockey team. 41-0.
Not a bad season.
39 in a row.
You were there this afternoon.
They won today, 6-3 over Boston U. And I'm walking through the press room at the end, and I look up at the Gophers, and they're going to lose. And I said, oh, you can't win them all. And somebody says, yes, you can.
How many people there?
They were full. Scalpers outside getting $65 for $6.50 admission, general
You ready
admission.
to call him about that?
Yes.
Is that not one of the nicest, small, quaint arenas you can
it is.
find?
And it was just perfect. It was
Yep.
full, but it wasn't bursting.
Yeah.
So.
For years, they couldn't draw 500 people.
Yeah, but you know, when you win 49 in a row, people have a tendency to
that's
notice
true.
you no matter what.
They got a
you
chance
show
to
up.
take a real step here because the names are getting recognizable, through their high school.
Kathy Ritter, one of the greatest gals I've ever met. Great friend of mine. I can give her a lot of credit. Boy, I used to have a lot of fun with her. She was so much in support of the...
You were just teasing her, right?
Huh?
You were just teasing her.
We went to lunch again. We did a lot of things. She got that arena built.
Well, that's why her name's on it.
Okay, we were just talking during the break. Private jets. Okay, so Izzo comes up here, Krzyzewski comes up here, Calipari comes up here. I was thinking about, the gap between the majors and might be defined more by private jets than arenas and what these guys can do, Trent.
Or a practice facility. I mean, when you have the ability...
Except for Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah. When you have the ability to leave, right after the game and be in another part of the country to watch a player within 50 or 60 minutes, that's a huge plus for your program.
I don't know. Tubby has some access to private jets. How often does he access?
Stanley Hubbard is one of the few guys who really makes them available. They're
For
worried
recruiting
about,
too, though, or just for big things? Or I
there's
can't
some
remember.
problem with internal revenue or something like that. When you give those jets to private people, you don't charge them for it.
Well, but everybody's got them. I mean, if I was Jerry Kill and Tubby Smith, I'd say, I don't need my new practice facility. I want a private jet to go wherever I want to. I mean, you would think that with the fortune with the huge companies we brag about having
this
here.
town.
You'd have more access to them than East Lansing, Michigan.
And it's cheaper.
Holtz got him. When Holtz was here, he got him.
Holtz would have had a fleet by now.
In Notre Dame, he was flying a old airplane.
Yeah.
Here, you just get on a phone and boom. I went with him a 3 times. One time to San Francisco, all the way to San Francisco and come back.
You're not supposed, not
Don't
recruiting.
care. I have no problem with that.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh, Roselle Richardson's in LA.
Yep. Hey, Trent, Ray Williams passes away. There's a lot of people out there that maybe don't remember him. I was a young, impressionable kid, and this was the high flying. This was the first time we had seen it in Minnesota, one of the great guard forwards. You played with him with the New York Knicks.
Great guy, great player. You know, it was a sad day for a lot of us who knew him very, very well. And when you talk about pure athleticism at the guard position, the only guy that I can remember, you know, that comes close to him was Mark Hall.
Mark Hall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was Mark
Patrick,
Hall. Now, would he come back and spend the summer in Minnesota when he was in the NBA? Would you see him at Williams Radar?
You know, when we were there, you know, the guys would come back, McHale and Michael Thompson and Ray Williams, all the guys would come back and play with us. So, you know, that gave us a chance to become better basketball players because we had, you know, the guys who had just left, you know, they would come back and work with us and teach us a few things here and there, and that made us a better team.
Sid, how good was he?
Many a dinner I had with him. He was one of my favorite people. He was a great personality, funnier than heck. What he could do with that basketball, nobody has ever been able to do here.
Talked to Dutcher. I talked to Dutcher Friday. He lived on a street. Ray and Gus Williams. 2 doors down, Scooter and Rodney McRae.
Right.
And 2 doors down from him, Earl Tatum.
And Denzel Washington not far away.
They all played in the NBA, and Dutch said every house on the block never locked its doors. And if Ray Williams was hungry and Mom wasn't fixing dinner, he'd walk down to the McRae's house and sit down and have dinner with them, and the McRae, and then they'd go across the street to the playground and have 5 NBA guys playing.
Dutch also said, he said they were playing Nebraska. I forget the name of the guy from Nebraska, but McHale was a freshman, and this guy took a run at McHale, and Williams jumped in front and said, quit picking on the freshman. If you want a piece of anybody, come get me. And he said, friend for life in McHale, who I think helped him out financially in the later years, but also that was the kind of guy who was that street tough kind of thing.
Well, he was a tough guy. He was very, very tough, and he was a great guy to play with because, you know, when the game was on the line, you know, he wasn't afraid to take the big shot.
Now, were you with it? Was he still in New York when you got there? Or just,
when I first was drafted, he came the next year. We picked him up through a trade.
Well, Dutcher didn't recruit him.
No, Mussy did, but he played. He kept the commitment.
Muss took care of him pretty good when he came
Yeah, but
here.
Muss was gone. He never played for Musselman.
But he recruited him, though.
Yes, he did.
He took care of him.
San Jacinto Community College. I was down there a couple years ago. There are great pictures of him down there. He came from that Houston area where Sam Cassell and
You know,
those guys.
that team beat Marquette in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee won the national championship.
And they beat him handily. I mean, by 7, he said, but it could have been worse.
They were up 20 and beat them by 7.
Take a break, come back, stay with us.
Talk about great basketball.
There it is, a place at the table. Now playing at the Uptown Theater. Bring in your ticket stub to Bar Abilene and receive a free order of guacamole and chips. Doesn't that look good? Welcome back.
We got to get him back for a winter display.
Really.
We shouldn't just have to wait for the state fair. Let's do it in the winter.
So a week from now, we're going to be talking about the Twins, Patrick.
Aaron Hicks 4 for 4 today, and Gardy declared that he is the opening day center fielder. So that's finally taken care of. He'll be leading off, and Dozier will be playing second. I think the lineup's going to be okay, but the pitching. Man.
Correa got lit up yesterday. I don't know who pitched today.
Correa, I just said it was his best game of the spring.
Well, four innings, 4 runs,
And those pitchers he signed are worth a darn.
Worley hasn't been worth a dang. I don't think Pelfrey's fully recovered. It's bad.
DeVries might be as good a pitcher as they got.
He'll be in the rotation.
Hey, how about the Wild?
Understood.
5 in a row.
Had Chuck on today. I got to give him a lot of credit. I thought they'd fire that coach.
Yeah, you did.
He stayed with him, and he's done a pretty good job.
I don't know how they did it. They only spent
$196
million on free agents.
You should be good, and they are.
You tell a Musselman story.
We would love to have it, but we're about out of time, I think, aren't we?
Next week.
Okay. Can you do it in 30 seconds?
No.
Had a Big Ten meeting, and they all agreed nobody's going to take Ron B. Hagan because he had an agent. He went and took him.
The story was that...
And that put him out of business, too.
Put the Gophers in business, so didn't it, for a year or two, and they had B. Hagan. You okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Trent, thanks so much.
Thanks, Maxie.
Thanks for watching the Sports Show. Back next week, same time, same place. We'll see you then, everybody.
Worst choke and Gopher.